What's up guys, it's Jay with Bearded Dad Fishing, and today I'm sharing with you guys everything I learned about tournament fishing and kayak bass fishing when I skunked in Guntersville, Alabama last month when I was fishing the Knukled Bass Fishing Series Championship. Now, if you guys disagree with any of the points I'm about to make sure you comment down below and let me know, and we'll get a healthy discussion going. But first, dad joke of the day: how do trees access the internet? They log in. And that dad joke is brought to us by Joe Nager of Joe Nager Fishing. If you don't subscribe to his YouTube already, make sure you go ahead and do that. And if you got a dad joke, let me know in the comments below and it might be in one of my next videos. So I was lucky enough to lead a team, Team Bearded Dad, in Guntersville last month for the Knukled Bass Fishing Series Championship. I was extra hyped to go down there. Guntersville is just one of those legendary lakes. Any fish you catch could be your personal best because there's some true double-digit hogs down there. And I get down there, first day of practice, completely skunked, didn't catch one fish, and I was extra discouraged. The second day of practice, all I got was an 8-inch dink. So to say I was discouraged is to be lenient because I was not feeling it. But the third day, which was tournament day, was completely different. We found the fish and I ended up getting a 19.5-inch bass. If you want to see the whole recap of that trip, I'll make sure to link down the video below. But I'm going to share with you guys everything I learned on that trip, and let me know, again, if you guys disagree, comment down below. So the first thing I learned about kayak fishing tournaments is that you have to prepare and strategize. With my team, we got together 2 times on a Zoom call before the tournament, and we were there on Google Maps, zooming in, checking where the docks were, where the grass is. We were looking at contour maps. We were looking at all the things we had access to try to plan where we're fishing. So we ended up planning as best as we could with the limited experience that we had. But your strategy is going to depend on where you're fishing, what you're comfortable fishing, what you're comfortable throwing, and the time of year, because obviously not all lures and baits work every time of the year. But Rick, one of our team members, ended up going on YouTube and watching the KBF Championship that happened just a couple weeks before that, and ended up picking the spot where that winner was the day of the tournament, and he ended up putting me and Anthony on as well. So we went there, and that's what ended up catching our bass. So it's really important to strategize, even if you're not doing a team event and you're doing an individual event. If you're unfamiliar with the body of water, with the area, ask some friends, reach out on YouTube, reach out on Instagram and Facebook, and just get some input. And in addition to preparing and strategizing, you have to make sure you plan your practice. Now you have to decide, are you able to pre-fish for a day, 2 days, 3 days, etc., because that's gonna determine the likelihood of your success. So I was able to pre-fish 2 days for this tournament, and if it wasn't for those 2 terrible days, I might have ended up on tournament day in one of those other spots, and I would have totally skunked, which would just be a shame. So those 2 days of pre-practice, which were failures in the sense that I didn't catch fish, they were successful in letting me know those areas were not good to go, and I ended up going where Rick put us on. And in addition to where you're actually fishing on the physical lake, you have to think about what's your plan A, your plan B, your plan C, etc. And that might look different for everybody, but as far as structure goes, are you gonna fish docks? Are you gonna fish shallows? Are you gonna fish a specific depth or a specific lure? I was totally going in with the thought that I was gonna fish jerkbaits and chatterbaits, because those are 2 things that I feel very confident with, but neither of those that got me any bites during the tournament, and I ended up sealing the deal with something totally different. A tool like Omnia is invaluable when it comes to planning your practice and planning your tournament, because it gives you everything in one spot. So with the Premium Pro subscription, you can actually go on there. It shows you a GPS map, and it shows you all types of filters that you have available. So it goes from your vegetation to your contour maps to your bottom hardness, and it also mixes in the weather as well. So you can check your water temperature, your air temperature, any storms that are rolling in, the wind direction, which is super important when you're on any big body of water, because things could change like this, and then you're stuck out there. So it's something that you can use to plan your trip, and it's also something you can use on the fly when you're out there. You just pull up the app and you're able to get access to all the information you need. So I'll make sure I'll put a link down below in the description if you're interested in signing up for the Omnia Fishing Premium Pro subscription. And number 3 is fish what you know. So this was a big one for me because I had planned already to use specific lures that I was comfortable with. Well, when I figured out they didn't work on day 1, I was kind of stuck in a pickle and decided to throw things I wasn't as comfortable fishing. I spent a lot of time fishing frogs, which I haven't put in the reps for. I spent a lot of time fishing some big glide baits, which again, those are great lures, but I didn't put the reps in for any of those. So I spent too much time focusing on those things I didn't know. And in addition to that, I was also fishing grass mats. Now, everyone that I talked to was grass was where it's at because the fish are gonna go for that warmth, for that cover. But again, I'm not familiar with fishing grass because up here in PA, we don't have that much grass. Tournament time is really not the time to get familiar with things you're unfamiliar with. You need to be putting in those reps before the tournament so that you come in with confidence, because your confidence is going to determine how well that lure works. If you're really confident and you know that it catches and you feel good about it, then you're going to just perform better and you're going to throw that out with a higher success rate. So it's a great idea to lean on the things that you have expertise and experience with. So whether that's rip wraps, whether that's docks or grass or laydowns or whatever it is, you focus on the things that you're familiar with, because again, along with your confidence bait, it's also going to be your confidence situation, and it's just going to perform better for you. So on the very last day, like I said, we switched to the area that Rick put us onto, and there was tons of docks, and I love fishing docks. I'm great at it, and to me, it's more fun than fishing anything else. And none of this is to say that you shouldn't get out of your comfort zone during a tournament. It's okay to get out of your comfort zone, but make sure you exhaust the things you're confident with first before you jump into those unfamiliar areas. And number 4, and this is one of my favorite ones, is don't get in your head. So it was real easy for me to get in my head after I skunked on day 1. I did terrible on day 2 of pre-fishing. So you can imagine at the end of day 2 pre-fishing, I was not confident. I did not think I was gonna go out and catch some fish because those 2 days almost sealed the deal for me in my head that I wasn't gonna catch fish. So don't get pissed off. I was really angry, and in my video I said I was like upset. Nah, I was angry. I was really mad about it. And it just made me doubt myself. I had planned these areas out, I thought about it, I looked at it, and those were unsuccessful. So at that point, I already felt like, man, whatever I do tomorrow is just gonna be and I was just in my head getting all types of negative thoughts, just feeling negative, and that stuff comes out and bleeds out into your interactions with people, into your fishing and all that stuff. So don't spend time getting in your head, feeling negative, getting pissed off, second guessing yourself. One of the guys on one of the teams I even heard abandoned his team mid-tournament because he wasn't catching any fish. So that team was completely out of the running for catching a 5th fish because the big crybaby decided to go home because he wasn't catching fish. Obviously, that's an extreme case and not a lot of people do that, but try to not get in your head. Try to think clear and logically. Even if you have to scale back to step 1, it's okay. Do that so that you can get a fresh mindset, and you might think of something that you didn't consider when you were 10 steps in, when you come back to square 1 and really start to think things through in a different way. And number 5, which goes along with not getting in your head, is to give yourself grace. Like I said, when I was out there and I did a terrible 2 days of pre-fishing, I was in a negative place, and I was at the point that I was just saying mean things to myself. Like, I was doubting my ability to fish. I was doubting my talent and my knowledge as an angler. You know, so even if you're not a grade A tournament fisher, like this isn't your living, like that's cool. You still deserve to be out there, and you're still worthy to be out there, and you still might be able to catch the biggest fish in the tournament. Like, I was just getting it to a point where I was totally doubting myself. I wasn't enjoying my time there. I didn't even want to be fishing Guntersville after 2 days of doing terribly. So make sure you don't talk down to yourself. Don't doubt your abilities and your talents and your interests and what you're good at, because the reality is you're probably a really good angler, and it's okay to get to a spot that challenges you to the point that you got to rethink and re-gear and just change things up. But don't let it be a personal bite at yourself, like you're thinking negative about yourself. And another part of giving yourself grace is allowing yourself the ability to learn from the circumstances. So even if you go out on tournament day and totally skunk and you put 0 fish up on the board, give yourself the ability to learn from that in a graceful way, because there's always things to learn from in that situation, whether it's where you were fishing, what you were fishing, how you were fishing, the weather, all this stuff that you can learn from And really, fishing is all about, like I said with the lures, fishing is all about putting in the reps. I understand that I can't fish as much as I want to because of my family situation. I got young kids, I work, I just started a business, we're in startup phase. Like, I couldn't put in the reps that I wanted to this year, but that's okay. Like, that's just my situation in life right now. You might have a similar situation where you just can't get out on the water as much. So just give yourself the ability to learn. That doesn't mean don't do the tournaments. You should totally do them. And I believe it's actually more beneficial because it forces you to go out there and learn, even if it's out of your comfort zone. That's where probably you're going to learn the most. The last thing I'll say about giving yourself grace is that you need to be grateful for the experience. If you watch my video, you'll see that before the tournament day really started kicking off, I hit record on the camera and I said, yo, I'm going to be grateful no matter what. And this wasn't just me saying it. Like, I decided that I was going to be grateful, which is, it's a decision you have to make. Like, it's not based on how you feel. I didn't feel like being grateful. I felt like being mad. But I decided, yo, like, I'm out here doing what I love. I love fishing. I love meeting new people. I love connecting with existing people that I already know. And I was doing all of that in a legendary lake that I wanted to fish for so long. So I decided to be grateful. So just decide to be grateful, even if you hit a big old bubble on your tournament day. Just decide to be grateful for the experience and the learning opportunity. And I'll leave this one with a quick Bible verse that spoke to me, which is Proverbs 17:22. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. And number 6 is trust your instincts. Again, I ignored docks that I love to fish and I'm good at fishing for grass because other people were fishing grass and they were hitting fish, and I was hearing grass is where it's at. And it was for some, it wasn't for me. On the tournament day, when I hit the docks, it was the jackpot for me and a couple others that were there. Darren Wendell caught a 22-inch bass out on the docks in the same vicinity that we were fishing at. So again, just trust your instincts. If you're really feeling like you should do X, Y, and Z, but people are doing A, B, C, then just do what you have planned to do that feels right to you. And then if that doesn't pan out, that's where we go to the other points we talked about. You go plan B, plan C, plan D, and so on. And number 7 is an extremely practical tip, which is bring extras. So this was very important for my experience, because if I just took my kayak crate with my go-to lures and my jerkbaits and my chatterbaits and all the stuff I'm comfortable fishing, I would have missed out on the things I use for tournament day. So if you have a big tote or container with a bunch of extra stuff, make sure you bring it with you, whether it's your plastics, your hard lures, your line, whatever it is, so you don't have to wish you had it. I could say it probably saved the day for me because I was able to get all the extra Senkos that I don't carry with me, and I was able to get those flukes that ended up landing my biggest bass, which is that 19.5-inch bass, on that smoked shad fluke. And if you thought this video was helpful, make sure you check out my favorite kayaks for big guys just like me right here. So till next time, guys, peace and God bless.